Ladies and gentlemen, it has been 4 weeks since the launch of Cataclysm, and it is time to get into the top DPS of the week. Let's see what classes are breaking the game. Let's get right into it. We're going into the statistics, dropping down to a range of 1 day, 95th percentile. Boom! There you have it. The overall top DPS king, of course, is the Fire Mage, as my prediction unfolded. Once Fire Mage gets gear, once they get haste, they're able to continue proccing their ignites. Unholy DKs still very strong over the entire raid portfolio here. There's a lot of there's a lot of fights in this particular expansion, X-Pack Season 1 of Cataclysm, that have multiple targets in the fight, so that it's not just single target. You know, there's a lot of times where you can spread your dots. DK is very good at doing that. Ellie, very good 3 target, especially. Fire Mage, very good at unlimited target, and then DK good at that as well. Survival Hunters, fairly good single target and multi-target. And then Arms Warrior, Demon Lock, and then you have your Shadow Priest, Boomies, and Rogues coming in. All Rogues kind of clumped. I actually wasn't expecting to see Sub Rogue right here. This is the one that's kind of catching me off guard a bit. I was not expecting Sub Rogue to be this good. Maybe Sub Rogue is a 1 target, Andy? Let's filter by Chimeron. No shot. No shot. Sub Rogues are the king right now of single target. Chimeron is a purely single target fight, where you can attack from behind the majority of the boss fight, but not the whole time. There are very few fights in this entire raid where you can attack the boss from behind the entire time. The only other fight, because Chimeron you have to stack in the front for a bit of time, but maybe there's some tanks that are not stacking for that part. They're actually staying out, and then so they are able to attack from behind the whole time. I think that we're going to be trying that strat soon. So I would say Chimeron is probably the only fight in the game where you might have a possibility of just staying behind the target the entire time, and there's no ads the entire fight. So this is like a pure target dummy patchwork type of fight, right? And holy crap, Sub Rogues are in a league of their own. I need to actually get into. Let's go and look at a Sub Rogue log. My alt is a rogue. I main mage and rogue. I'm very curious because I do have sub as my off spec. I actually main combat because it's the 2 target cleave is just so insane on certain fights. So I actually want to go ahead and look and see maybe what some of these Sub Rogues are doing here to do so much single target damage. And it looks like Saren Rogue has swapped over. He was the #1 combat rogue, and he's swapped over to playing sub on some fights, and now he's rank 1 in sub as well. Let's change it to Chimeron. And let's actually click Saren's number. He's literally number 3 on this fight. And he's doing 33,000 damage single target. This is pretty insane. Most of his damage is coming from backstab. He is applying 11 hemos. He cast 1 rupture. The rupture is up the entire fight. So there's some kind of build with sub where you cast a rupture and it stays on the entire time. I'm gonna have to look into that and figure out what that is. But one global doing 500k damage is insanity. He's using instant poison manhand, deadly poison offhand. He's got 18 ambush cast off. He's obviously ambushing in the Shadow Dance windows. He's got 18 ambush cast off, 27 eviscerates, and a large majority of melee. He's going to maintain slice and dice. So let's take a look at the casts. Pre-med on pull into an ambush, hemorrhage rupture. So that's the opener here. And then you have Shadow Dance into Synapse Springs ambushes with eviscerates. It looks like he's maintaining recuperate the entire time. And it's really just backstab, eviscerate with slice and dice and recuperate uptime at 100%. This is very similar to the PvP rotation. And he also has hemorrhage uptime 100%. This is great. I'm actually going to try this on my rogue. Let's go ahead and look at what some of the top trinkets are overall in the standings right now. And let's see, Alondo actually number 1 on Alakir. He, of course, using Heart of Rage and the Fury of Angerforge. Must be a very melee, high priority for melee trinket. I actually see 4 people using the same combo of trinkets here. And the top 10 for Alakir. Top 10 for Omnitron Defense, of course, is going to be Thoralian's Mirror and Darkmoon Volcano if you have 372. If not, it actually looks like people are using Stump of Time. So maybe Stump of Time is actually out DPSing the Thoralian's Mirror and in the lower level range. I don't really see any casters using the lower level Thoralian's Mirror, which I'm currently doing. So that makes me think that maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe only the 372 mirror is worth using. It looks like the bell is BIS for a lot of other casters. Some of these guys are using, some of the mages are actually using Bell and Darkmoon Volcano. Everyone using Darkmoon Volcano though. A lot of these mages are using Bell. Nobody is using the 359 Thoralian's Mirror. Here's one guy. One guy using a 359 mirror. So maybe it's not all that bad, but it looks like if you can get your hands on a Bell, on any 372 Bell or mirror, that's going to be the way to go for the mage class. Shadow Priest also looking like they need to pick up mirror. Heart of Rage, Angerforge still seeming to be on top, or either Heart of Rage with Impatience of Youth for maybe Ret Paladins. Some people using Impatience of Youth in the Arms Warrior category as well. It looks like all the Ret Paladins are using it. For the Rogue class, you have Fluid Death. They do struggle a bit with hit, and they're using Prestor's Talisman Trinket. This guy using the Unheated Warning. This is just the bind on equip one that comes. You can get this off the auction house pretty cheap. I guess maybe Prestor's hasn't dropped for him yet, but he was still able to pump some ridiculous damage on Halfist. That's pretty insane. 190,000 DPS. I do not know how they do this much damage on this boss. I'm not going to lie. I do like 85k on this boss, and I feel like I'm pumping, but I'm really curious as to how in the world these guys are doing 190k DPS. It just makes no sense to me what they're doing. Let's see. Shamalando. This must be Alondo's Ellie Shaman, who's also cranking 40k DPS on Thoralian and Valiona. I know Ellie Shamans are specific to this particular fight because they can hit both dragons in the air, and I do think that Unholy DKs can hit both dragons. They're going with Bell and the Darkmoon card Volcano. Crushing Weight and Heart of Rage. This is looking like the DK meta right here. Another Crushing Weight, Heart of Rage for DKs, and then I do see some DKs running Heart of Solace on Ascendant Council, increasing their haste rating. DKs looking like they can go with a plethora of trinkets. It's really not looking like a lot of these are bad. This guy's going License to Slay with Heart of Solace, and he's absolutely cranking. But Crushing Weight, License to Slay, and Heart of Solace with the Heart of Rage. I mean, you literally have 4 or 5 trinkets you can go with as a DK and probably still be solid there, which is very nice to see. Whereas most classes really can just go with two trinkets, and that's pretty much it. You're pretty much locked to those 2 options. Once again, mages really just going for a 372 Bell or Thoralian's Mirror. That is pretty much the meta that I've seen. And I see some people running Essence of Cyclone as hunters, but not too many. I actually don't see a lot of hunters anymore in the top. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 sprinkled in here and there. Most of them running Essence of Cyclone, so you're probably going to want to get your hands on one of those. And the Unsolvable Riddle coming in hot here. What I love about this is that there's a niche spec in class for most of these. I mean, you really do see a mage in every single top 10 except for Alakir. So mages are clearly the strongest class this phase, whereas like Ellie Shamans, Combat Rogues, and then Shadow Priests coming in fairly niche on a lot of these fights. Now, Ascendant Council is very good for DKs because they're able to spread their dots to 2 targets that are not always stacked very well, and it continues to do damage. So I think that that's why DK is top here. But if you have a really good group and you can get them stacked at the right times and you can spread your dots in combustion, then obviously Chicken was able to do that, and he was able to get number 3 on this fight overall. So that's pretty much it. We'll take a look at the breakdown and compare it to. Let's take a look at the breakdown and compare it to the week 1 numbers. The week 1 numbers, and see how classes have evolved. Let us compare the week 1 chart with the week 4 chart. And as you see, Unholy Death Knights were on top clearly here, because I guess they scale better without gear. They're just monsters. And once Fire Mage gets a little bit of haste, they're able to jump them. Everything else stayed pretty much, except the Shadow Priest dropped down a few slots with the Demo Locks and the Arms Warriors moving up. Now, what's interesting here is that Balance Druid skipped a lot of places, and they actually jumped all of the rogues. So Shadow Priest and Balance Druid proving to be steady DPS to have in your raid. And they can actually top DPS on some fights like Sinestra, and probably do pretty well on 2-target fights, I imagine, like the Rallian and Council. Affliction Warlocks did drop down a few places. The Rogues, the Sub-Rogue, most surprisingly here, holy crap, the Sub-Rogue coming from the bottom, started from the bottom, now we're here. The Sub-Rogue is going to probably continue to rise, I'm guessing, slightly. They just do insane single target damage, which is kind of what Sub-Rogue has always been known for, is just hitting one target if you can hit one target from behind the entire time, then I guess that's what that class is designed to be, is the king of that. So for fights that allow that, Sub-Rogue should be top damage. It makes sense to me. But they're just traditionally known as the PvP class in Cataclysm, so it's kind of surprising me how good they are. They are mid-pack. And Combat Rogue is S+ tier on certain fights, and now you have Sub-Rogue that's S+ tier on certain fights, leaping the Assassination Rogues. The Assassination Rogues just can't keep up. So in my opinion, there just really isn't a place for an Assassination Rogue. You should be Combat Rogue and then Sub-Rogue for single target. Those are the 2 specs that stand out the most to me. So in my opinion, Assassination Rogue is pretty much dead. Affliction Warlock going down a few slots. Frost DK's rising a bit. Assassination Rogue continuing to go down, and I believe they might just continue falling farther. Enhancement Shaman and Ret Pally not getting played much. However, Ret Pally is meta because of that 3% increase that they give to the raid. Feral Druids, the best off tanks / DPS out there right now. Some say Paladin can compete for that, but I think the Feral Druid is still king. The Bear Tank is really good, especially in 10-man. So you can get the Mark of the Wild with the crit, the Feral crit buff provided to the raid. Destro Locks have fallen. Arcane Mages have stayed right around the same spots. And then Fury Warriors have gone up a few slots, whereas Marksman and Beast Mastery Hunters are just not even playable. I mean, there's just no reason to play that class. Frost Mages have fallen even farther now, and they are truly, truly last in this expansion now. You didn't even see Frost Mage on this list in week 1, I guess, because there wasn't enough logs. But Frost Mage has enough logs now, and they are still incredibly bad. So no one seems to be playing those. All right, guys. If you enjoyed these videos, top DPS of the week, we'll be breaking them down every few weeks and comparing them to progress along with the expansion. I'm Sardako. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.